Welcome to Pilates with Some. Today I've got a gentle but effective workout that focuses on deep core, outer glutes, and obliques and should be friendly to those experiencing SI joint pain. We'll use some props today at the beginning and end, which you can modify or skip if you don't own. Just a quick note on SI joint pain. Your SI joints are where your pelvis meets your sacrum, the lowest part of your spine. They bear the weight of your upper body and stabilize the hips. If that joint is unstable, weak, or imbalanced, it can cause the pelvis to twist or rotate. The sciatic nerve runs through the SI joint, and the imbalance can cause pressure on that nerve. I did some reading to figure out which exercises will help and which will make it worse, so I hope this helps you. And if you're not experiencing SI joint pain, you'll still get a gentle but effective workout. As always, I'm not a medically trained professional, so best to check with a PT or general practitioner. Our plan for today is work TBA, our deepest layer of abs, which can help since it connects the pelvis to the lumbar. We're also working our glute medius, since it stabilizes pelvis as well, and internal oblique, which works in rotation and side bending. For our warm-up, we're doing a pelvis reset, which I learned in my Pilates training. You'll need a strap to go around the knees. You could also use a yoga strap or even a scarf. Just something to press out into. And then a squishy ball or something for the knees to squeeze into. Could be a block or even a firm pillow. Let's start with a strap. Come to a seated position and tie the strap around your knees. We don't want to bind them together, leave a little space between them. And then lay down. We're going to be doing these exercises with a neutral spine, so let the natural curve of the low back be present. You might even have some space under there. Now exhale, press out into the strap and hold for 5 counts. You might feel a little outer glute work to press. Then gently let the knees come back in. Exhale, press out and hold for 5 counts. Gently come back in. 3 more. When I was doing PT a while ago for my lumbar injury, I learned to be really gentle about coming back in from these types of exercises because we're alleviating pressure and we don't want to shock the body by quickly moving through these. Last one. Now slowly come up and untie yourself, then grab the ball. Ball goes between the knees, same as before, laying down, neutral spine. We exhale, press into the ball and hold for 5 counts. Then slowly release. 4 more rounds like that. You might feel a little inner thigh working. The goal of these exercises is actually to mobilize the pelvis in the area that we're feeling pain. Last one. Now get rid of the ball. We're going to do some pelvic tilting. Starting in neutral, you can have your hands on your hip points to feel the movement. We're gently tucking the pelvis so the tips of your fingers are rising with the movement, then rocking the pelvis away. You can imagine it like an imprint and then an arch. Let's move between these 5 more times. Don't be forceful with the movement. Low abs are there to help move things along. Now let's add some side to side. We're going to try to keep our knees and ribs stable as our pelvis tips left to right. It's a pretty challenging exercise for me, and it's funny because it looks like I'm literally just laying here not doing anything, but tipping to the right for me feels a little more challenging. Let's do 5 more sets. Now let's turn it into a circle. Start in neutral, tilt to the right, imprint, tilt to the left, go back to neutral. You can think of it like a clock. This is the imagery I learned in my training. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Then you can make it more fluid like a clock hand moving between those times. 2 more in this direction. Now let's switch directions. If it feels okay to you and you have a squishy ball in hand, you can also do this with a ball under the pelvis. I like it because it helps make the movement feel more obvious and you have a little more space to move. Last circle. You can bring your knees to your chest if that feels good. Last pelvic reset type exercise. I have a dowel, but you could use a broomstick or some other rod-like object. We're going to lay on our back and thread it through the knees. My right leg is over the stick for this. Keeping my spine neutral, I want to press my legs with equal force into the stick and hold for 5 counts. then slowly release. Do this a few more rounds. You may feel your right glute and left hip flexor working. That's great. Ideally, if there's a way to know if one side of your pelvis is twisted more forward, you could use this exercise to tailor the approach, but you can play with it and see if one or the other feels more productive. Do this a few more rounds. All right, we've hopefully reset our pelvis a little. Now we're moving into some classic Pilates exercises. Knees are bent. We imprint the spine and roll up to bridge. We're not going for height. In fact, you have permission to take it a little lower if that feels better. Then roll down, moving through each vertebra. This still feels a little pinchy in my pelvis, but I read that after doing the pelvis reset exercises, we can move through a few reps here and it might feel better. 2 more bridges like that. Now, inhale and float one leg up at a time to tabletop. Neutral spine. Fingers on the pelvis to feel for rocking. Exhale, lower the left leg. Inhale, lift. Exhale, right leg down. Inhale, lift. Keep alternating. As you do this, keep the 90-degree angle of your leg as you lower and lift. If you feel your pelvis starting to rock forward with your legs as they lower, then reduce the range of motion. You'll still get some ab work with a reduced range of motion. I'm editing this video a few days later and my abs are still feeling it. Last set. Lower both feet. Now both legs back up. Progressing this, we're extending one leg out on a diagonal, then bending it back into tabletop. Alternate the legs. The lower the leg extends, the more demand on the abs. So again, if you feel that pelvis wanting to rock forward to follow the leg, try reaching the leg out higher instead. Last set like that. Lower both legs. You can take a little break if you need. Next, both legs back up. If you feel you have the control over the pelvis, you can try reaching the leg out on a diagonal, lowering, lifting, then back to tabletop. If you don't feel like you can keep the pelvis stable, then stay with the exercise before. Last set. Lower both legs. Now both legs back up. Both knees are bent. Bring them together like it's one leg and lower both legs towards the ground, keeping 90 degrees. I'm not dipping too low because my pelvis wants to move more with this one. Last one. Lower the feet. Next, we're not going to flop the leg out and let the pelvis move with the leg. We exhale with slow control, let one leg butterfly out to the side, only as far as you can keep your pelvis stable. Inhale and gently bring it back in. Alternate sides. Last set. Next, you can stay with that one or bring both legs to tabletop. Same as before. Pelvis stays still. Exhale, leg butterflies out to the side. Inhale back in. Keep alternating. Last set. Lower the legs. Moving on. Now exhale, imprint, lift up to bridge again. Now right leg to tabletop. And back down. Left leg to tabletop. Back down. Try to keep the hips level as you do. I think about engaging the glute on the supporting leg right before I lift the other leg so I feel super stable. Last set. And roll down. Next is some side lying work. Pick a side. Spine is along the back edge of the mat, knees bent with feet near the back edge too. Reach the top hip away, pelvis is level even from the side, feet stay together. Exhale, lift the top leg, little pause at the top, inhale, lower. 7 more. We're working our outer glute here, which I mentioned helps stabilize the pelvis. Last one. Now hover the whole top leg so it's parallel with the bottom. And we inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. 7 more. Exhale, lift. Now hold it. Small circles for 5. Reverse the direction, 5 more. And lower. Let's flip around and do the other side. Clamshell with feet together for 8. Last one. Now lift the leg parallel and lower for 8. Hold. Circles for 5. Other direction. And lower. Now come to hands and knees. Let's not let the abs sink down. Keep a neutral spine. Exhale, opposite arm and leg reach long. Inhale back in. Exhale, other side. Inhale in. It's hard without being able to see in a mirror, but try to keep thinking about engaging the deep low belly. For me, it often wants to relax in this exercise, so I have to be super conscious about it. 5 more. Keep alternating. As my leg lifts, I'm trying to think about lifting the low abs on the opposite side to stabilize myself, shooting for the obliques. Last set. And lower. Now tuck the toes under. Oops, I'm going to give myself a little more space on the mat. Hover the knees off the mat. Walk one leg out at a time to your plank, then one at a time back in. 5 more. Try to keep the hips from piking up too much so we get the low abs working. Last one. Lower, take breaks as you need. Last exercise. I'm rolling back my mat to give my wrists some lift. Walk out to a plank. Now reach the left leg long and we rock forward and back. 5 more. Last one. Lower the leg. I'm taking a little break between sides. Okay, back up. Right leg reaches long. Rock forward and back. 5 more. Last one. Let's move into some stretching now. First is just a figure 4 stretch. Both legs bent, right foot crosses over left leg. Stay in neutral spine to get a deeper stretch, and breathe here for a bit. When I was in physical therapy for my low back pain, my PT recommended I do this leg all the time. Now switch legs. Now arms out to the side, left leg long, right knee bent. Let the right knee fall over to the left, twist, and breathe. Using your abs, come back in gently. Other side. As we move into and out of these stretches, as I mentioned before, we want to be slow and intentional about the movement because jerky movements can cause shock in the areas we're trying to tend to. Let's stretch the hamstring now. If you have a strap you want to use to help facilitate it, go for it, but definitely not needed. You can hold it long or bend and straighten. Do what feels good. Other side. This next one will need a prop. You can either use a roller or a ball. We're going to roll out the glutes. I'll go on the foam roller first. You can bend your legs like in figure 4 and use that to add extra pressure to the point we're massaging. I'm aiming for mid to upper glute. I believe it's my piriformis technically that I'm going for. It can be pretty spicy for some, but once it releases, it feels so much better throughout the day. You can play with both sides or just rocking from one glute to the other. For me, my right SI joint is the one acting up, so I'm spending more time on my right glute. You can also use a ball. These things are pretty cheap and they do magic. You can sit like this and roll. Pretty intense this way. Or you can lay down and roll on top of it. If you find a spot that feels productive, you can butterfly the leg out and in to work the spot more. You can also just sit still and let the muscle melt around the ball. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's workout and that your core is feeling stronger. If you're experiencing SI joint pain, I hope you and I find permanent relief soon. Until next time, bye!